and welcome to the Common Briefing Program, the most well-prepared podcast you've heard in your entire life. My name is Colin Ketchin, and I will be hosting what is a summary of geek news, all the hottest headlines from our favorite geeky, nerdy domains over the last month. That month being August of 2021. Myself and my two friends here are just going to try to quickly recap what we think was the most important or interesting stuff in our favorite spheres of geekdom. I am joined by...
Hi, I am Jeff Lovett, and I am physically present. No, that's a lie. We're on the internet.
You've done this exact bit before. I don't know if you know that you've done this exact bit before, or that you mean for it to be a bit, but you are certainly cycling through.
I promise you, I don't.
I
never purposely decide to say something and then immediately correct myself. It's never on purpose. It's like I say a thing and then I'm like, oh right, that's just not true. Because
Yeah, you are looping through a few synapses here that just are really...
Okay, listen. I'm still, my stupid brain is still connected to, the regular CGB format from, that we literally have not done in, over a fucking year, where our thing is, we introduce ourselves and say what we're talking about, and I've never gotten over the fact that in these ones, we just say our names, and then every time I say my name and then I panic because I'm like, oh fuck, what else am I supposed to say here? And I say some nonsense.
I know my name is Jeff, but what else?
What else am I? All right.
And physically present, we now know for sure, is not the answer. Who else have we got with us?
Hi, I'm Taimu, or Chowder, whichever you prefer. I'm just looking over...
He has a fun little fucking catchphrase. I need a catchphrase.
Well, I think you're well on your way to one now if you keep making this mistake.
Sorry, Chowder, go ahead.
I mean, it's not a very catchy catchphrase, so,
No, but it is, very, it very much, it's consistent, it works for you, and, whenever you say, hi, I'm Chowder, in any context, you could be introducing yourself to another person, my brain now goes straight to, or... Taimu or Chowder, whichever you prefer. My brain will flip-flop the names or whatever, but, that is a catchphrase, whether you're proud of it or not. You have cemented it, I think, for those of us that are familiar. Which is...
Chowder is doing something that I've always, never been able to accomplish. He's well on his way to becoming an actual cartoon character. The next thing that he needs is just wearing the same exact outfit every day, which is the one thing I've gotten the closest to being able to do, just from lack of hygiene.
I mean, I'd rather not, simply because that's generally a sign that my depression is, overtaking me. So
see, I think Jeff has suggested something different from what you are inferring, which is not that you wear the same exact clothes every day for 2 weeks straight, because yes, that is usually a sign that something's not going wrong. You have 20 copies of the same exact outfit, so you're always clean and pressed and identical to what you look like the day before.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Chowder does not got that down yet. No, that is what I'm saying. But that was saying that's the one aspect he hasn't gotten down yet.
That is the next step. That's the next step in Chowder's evolution to Chowdevi or whatever his Pokemon.
I mean, there already is a cartoon Chowder, so once we get to that point where Chowder has reached full cartoondom, then we're going to start facing trademark issues because
That's true. But I'd like to think of myself as that cartoon character who always has a different shirt every episode with some funny little joke for the logo design,
Sure,
either way,
you want to
got some shopping to do.
Chowder wants to subvert the cartoon form, but you have to, Chowder, you have to know the rules before you can break them. That's what we say in art a lot of the time. So you have to start wearing the same outfit every day.
But it's not like there aren't characters I can't go off of. Mabel's always wearing a different sweater every episode.
But you need a little extra budgets to draw those extra frames.
But that's what I'm saying, Chowder, is that characters like your Mabel Pines, like your fucking, I can't think of another character that does that, but I'm sure there's plenty of them. Those are characters that break the traditional cartoon format of wearing the same shit every day. They're the exception. I'm
starting to feel bad, we're pigeonholing Chowder into a specific set of cartoon ideologies and or clothing practices, and I don't want to do that. So I think I'm going to pivot us out of this, and we're just going to jump straight into it. So in August 2021, there are a couple things I'm a big fan of that I talk about quite a bit. So when Colin talks, you're going to get a smattering of, frustration, first of all, but also Star Trek, Destiny, and Halo. And it's been a big old month for all of them shits. So I'm going to start with something that now feels so long ago, I forgot that I was supposed to talk about it this month, which is Halo Infinite. We have got a smorgasbord of information regarding that game. Most importantly, I have played it. So Halo Infinite had a multiplayer preview, a technical flight, which a lot of people are calling a beta. It was basically them just saying, we are going to test out the game by letting people play it. Sounds a lot like a beta. So I was invited to it. I was one of several 100,000. So any thought that I was going to feel special, immediately out the window. But managed to play it it was 4 days straight. Now, Halo is a first-person shooter set in a science fiction world, 500 years into the future. And typically you play as a space marine with cybernetic enhancements. You're called a Spartan. So this is not about the story, though. This is about the multiplayer, which... more on multiplayer story in a bit, but Halo's multiplayer is a competitive arena-style shooter where you get, 4 people against 4 people in a small map, and the name of the game is get the most kills. In order to do that, you got to know where the weapons spawn. You got to know the flow of the map and cooperate with your team to just lock it down and, kill the enemy as much as you can. That's competitive multiplayer, but... they said when they were launching it, we're not doing competitive multiplayer for this preview. We are doing bots. Now, bots can bring about a lot. Yeah, it can bring about some mixed feelings. The idea being you're not playing against a real person. You are playing against a video game AI trying to behave like a real person. And I think
is that just for this,
just for this
beta?
Multiplayer preview. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes a certain amount of sense, doesn't it?
It does, because I guess that the bots for multiplayer matches, they serve a couple purposes. One, they want to make sure that Halo Infinite is something people can jump into. Halo is a 20-year-old franchise. If you're trying to get someone to play your game, it's hard to say, hey, just bring the context of the last 20 years of this game you've been playing. Like, fuck, that's not how you teach someone to play a game. So they're developing bots to make it easier for new players to get into multiplayer. Okay. And also, if somebody leaves a match or you can't get enough people in a game to make the teams even, you can backfill a spot with a bot, and just so that it's still at least sort of fair in terms of team sizes. So
it's not like it's exclusively you're fighting bots. It's just that there are some bots because there's only like 100,000 people playing the beta, right?
Well, in this beta, it was specifically a team of 4 players against a team of 4 bots. And I think a lot of us were going in kind of thinking, like, bots in video games are terrible. There's no way this is going to be tough. They started the bots off at the lowest difficulty, and I gotta say, a couple things hit me right off the bat. One, this game feels amazing. Like, Halo has its own sort of vibe, and every time that they try to modernize it with, sprinting, aiming down the sights of your gun, people are like, that's not Halo, that's Call of Duty. I don't like those people anyway, but this really did sort of, I think, move the needle closer to classic.
This isn't Samus, it's 3-dimensional.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, but if you're just going to complain that, you're going to miss out on the fact that Metroid Prime is one of the best games in history. Right. So this really does bring the needle a lot closer to classic Halo in terms of vibe, but it is still fast. The accessibility options are phenomenal. Player expression with like armor and voiceover customization is like a lot more tangible. I was getting excited over the few options I had, and the bots are pretty competent, which was a little scary because
making bots that are good is easy.
It's hard. It's hard to make them mimic the behaviors of players in a multiplayer environment that's existed for 20 years.
Yeah.
There were bots teabagging. There were bots crouching up and down to get shots off while dodging headshots. And they fucking the lowest difficulty boss that they hit us with, like, stomped them every time. Like, never lost a match because, you know, it's still bots, but their grenade aim was infuriating.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing about making bots. It's easy to make bots that are, like, good at playing the game, right? Like, they don't need to worry about aiming because they're just good at aiming. It's hard to make bots that act like people, but the fact that they're teabagging, I think
That's a weird choice for someone to have
I think we've taken a step
in.
too far.
Like,
I don't even know.
Are we going to fucking program the bots to start yelling racial slurs now too? Like,
no, but they do yell over yonder a lot. I'll say that.
What's over yonder mean?
When you're running around in the game, the Spartans. Even if you're not on chat, the Spartans will yell call-outs like, hey, shotgun's up in 5 seconds, weapons over here, guy in the middle lane. But the one that got the most traction, probably because it was just yelled too much, was people yelling, over yonder, trying to say that they see an enemy. So you hear like 4 different voices yelling over yonder every 10 seconds. And 343 Industries, the developer, they were like, yeah, we have to put in some rules so that you don't just hear that all the time. But all in all, really fucking solid game. I think it's so weird. I remember last year we talked about Craig the Brute and the campaign demo and the lackluster graphics. And so we haven't heard a lot about the game. We come into the Halo Infinite multiplayer preview after not seeing much other than like a 2-minute trailer at E3. And universally positive vibes. I could say it feels great. It looks great. Some of the new options are exciting. And it was just all I did that weekend. Like, I slacked on everything else just to play against these bots I knew I was going to beat, but it was still just so fun to play. So that lasted 4 days. They're going to do more of them, and we'll probably get more competitive multiplayer. There was a window of it where for like an hour they let people fight each other. I was asleep at that point, so I missed it. But, really, really solid start. Really impressive bot showing. Looks and feels great. A lot of faith in the game after that, which is good news because we now have a release date. Halo Infinite is launching its campaign on December 8th, as well as its multiplayer component, which is free to play on Xbox and PC. All Xboxes and PCs since the Xbox One pretty much can run it. If you run it on a lower end PC or an Xbox One, you'll probably get like 30 frames per second at best. I was playing on a Series X where you get 4K 120. So the range of fidelity they're supporting, pretty wide. So it's taken them a long time to optimize stuff, and that comes at a bit of a drawback, which is the biggest fucking bummer I've been hit with for Halo in a long time. Halo is a game that people know for its multiplayer functions, both competitive and cooperative, and at launch, for this new big quasi-open world campaign that they're doing, there will be no co-op, not for 3 months after the game launches. And that is big sad for me. I am honestly considering, like, and I've Pat, Laura, Rebecca, a lot of people that I just regularly play through these campaigns with. I'm honestly considering trying to avoid Halo spoilers for 3 months and just not play the campaign until I can play it with people. That is how central that experience is to Halo campaigns for me.
Did they give a reason for why the co-op is delayed like that?
They said it's not ready. I think the context is this game has been in development since 2015 at the earliest. This is a very long dev cycle.
6 years? Damn.
Yeah, it's a very long dev cycle. It was delayed a year already, and then they said it was going to launch in fall, and now it's launching in December. So it's been getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. There was a lot of high-profile, like, creative director turnover about 2 years ago. They ended up bringing back in Joe Staten, who was the writer and one of the directors for the original Halo games. They brought him back, and that has given some people some confidence. That with the multiplayer preview, I think people are generally feeling pretty good, but mixed reaction on this one. I think it's just they don't have time to optimize this. And I guess that makes sense. Like, Chowder, you'll talk a lot about pipelines and the need to have like skilled people in a workflow to make sure something gets done. It's not just about having the people, it's about having the process. And I imagine that Halo never having done like a non-linear gameplay experience, like it's always just go from A to B and follow the story. It seems like they're going to spread this out a bit more.
The closest they've done was ODST.
That's right. Yeah. And that is still pretty linear. You can just sort of walk around in between the missions. This seems like a pretty big expansion on that. I imagine that building the campaign took a lot more resources than people will assume. And when it came time to, tighten the screws, they decided we are going to polish what we can, and we don't have time to polish this by December 8th. So I am sad, but that is what's going on there. They also won't have Forge, which is the map building feature, until 6 months later, which is hitting people a little less hard because not everybody does Forge stuff. I used to do it a lot way back in the day, but yeah, that's sort of the Halo Infinite news. Looking good overall, but a few gray clouds over that experience. What else? Let me zip through two more things. One is very close to Destiny. Sorry, very close to Halo is Destiny. It's fucking, damn it, I screwed myself up. If only I could go back and fix that somehow after the recording. So Destiny is a shooter created by the same folks that make Halo. That made Halo, and now they make Destiny. And we had a big ol' episode on this pretty recently. Destiny's been in a state where it is getting better at telling stories, which is, kind of what you want from a game that asks you to play it every week. They're getting better at telling stories. They're getting better at incentivizing people to come back more frequently. But there are still, Destiny is such a big game that it has its own ecosystem. There are multiple economies within the game. There are multiple systems to interact with just to keep your character moving and leveling and doing new activities. And that's great, but that always means that something is going to fall behind. So we have game modes that kind of get stale, or cheaters take over them, and guns that just take over the whole game because they're too good. So we've kind of hit the point since the last expansion where it was those things are really starting to creep up and get mainstream attention. And on Tuesday, Bungie, the developer, blew all of that out of our minds with the announcement of The Witch Queen, which is their next expansion due out in February. The Witch Queen, we've known is coming for a while. They announced it a while ago, but this was our first proper reveal. A lot of fun story stuff. We get to see a villain that they've been teasing since 2015. They announced that the game is now moving into a prelude story, so we're kind of seeing the bits set up for it, and that's fun. But what they announced that's really, really exciting is, in the fiction of Destiny, you play as a guardian. You wield the power of the light, as dorky as that sounds. Basically, you have superpowers and you come back from the dead. And then all the bad guys, they don't have that superpower. And then in this one, they were like, oh no, the bad guys are getting those superpowers. And oops, can't fuck that one up. We didn't get some of the announcements that we thought. We thought we would get a new elemental subclass type, but instead they announced they are going to go back and rework all the old ones to match the current systems. So all those things that are falling behind, they said, nope, we're fixing all of it. That game mode, that competitive game mode, Trials of Osiris, that everyone's cheating at, we're putting in more anti-cheat. We're making it harder to exploit the matches, and we're incentivizing more people to play, so it's not just the cheaters playing.
Yeah, I was, I'm starting playing Destiny 2, and, one of the first things is, we're installing this anti-cheat software onto your computer, and I don't know, that makes me stop for a second. Is it an anti-cheat software?
So they are partnering with BattlEye. This was actually one of the announcements. BattlEye is an anti-cheat software developer that works with a lot of other big games, I think Overwatch. And it is because, particularly in this Trials of Osiris game mode, this is the end game hyper-competitive, best of the best. This is where you go to get the best weapons and really cut your teeth. It has been ruined by people cheating on PC, on console, whatever. They are finding ways to exploit it, and every once in a while the game will tell you go play Trials of Osiris, and me and my whole clan is just I don't fucking want to deal with that. Now, Chowder, to assuage any fears, that anti-cheat software should only apply to those competitive modes. The bulk of the game, it does not matter or kick on, really.
Yeah, no,
so
it's just I just had to uninstall some Adobe software, and motherfucker, the Adobe might as well just be mal for what it does to your computer and how hard it is to get rid of. Yeah, no,
it makes me sad that these games aren't readily available on Mac, because it is much easier to yank stuff out of a Mac. But yeah, in Windows, its tendrils are everywhere, and it's a pain in the ass to get out. But speaking from someone who's been playing the game for a while, I'm very glad that this is a thing now, because it really has not been fun to try to engage with these things that are supposed to be super rewarding. But there's even more incentive to do them now, which is crossplay. So now everyone, regardless of platform, can play Destiny together. It has already, in just the last week, made such a tremendous difference in how I play the game. Really, really great to be able to play with my PC friends, my PlayStation friends, and make it easier to get stuff together. All in all, Destiny with the Witch Queen announcement, the light subclass revamp, the anti-cheat stuff, the cross-play, and all the quality of life changes. Like we're getting weapon crafting, which in a game about randomly acquired loot, I'm very surprised they added weapon crafting, but that'll be coming next year. It feels like a big breath of fresh air, and I don't know. The news is so nitty-gritty that beyond that, it would be not worth it for me to explain here. But if you are curious about Destiny, it is a good time to jump on board. And they've published blogs with all the details on this stuff. It feels like the most significant change in the direction of the game in about a year, and that's great. That's what we want to see. Last little bit, Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 premiered. That's the animated comedy Star Trek on Paramount Plus. It's great. It's really good. It's really funny. It's some of the best. It's my favorite new Star Trek show. It's 3 episodes in right now, and if you like animated comedies like your solar opposites, your Ricks and Mortys, I think this is up that alley, whether or not it'll meet that standard for you. And if you like Star Trek and you say, harumph, I don't want a funny Star Trek, yes, you do. You're wrong. You want it. It's good. It's everything you want it to be. That's all I got. Those are my 3 big things. Cool. Who's next?
I can go. I've got a number of things that I want to talk about, so...
Ooh, numbers.
Yeah, I've got a couple Pokemon stories, a couple Marvel things, a Masters of the Universe thing, and a few Transformers things.
Ooh.
Starting off with the Pokemon stuff, because that's what I have open. We got some disappointing stuff that there was like a really kind of homophobic tweet exchange between with the developers of PokémonUnite, which is PokémonUnite is like the mobile game, right, Chowder?
It's the mobile. Right? I have not played it. It's basically their League of Legends, the Pokemon League of Legends,
Gotcha.
It's a MOBA.
Yeah, there was like I don't entirely understand how to fucking read the order of Twitter, so I don't fucking know exactly how this shook down, but basically like someone was like, can you say gay rights? And then the studio's Twitter account was like, why? Rights of heterosexual players are equally as important. And it's just
that's never the point.
Yeah.
No, I saw that and I was like,
Rough.
So, yeah.
I mean, I was never inclined to play a MOBA. Like, even if you make it Pokemon, you can't make me play League of Legends, even if you disguise it as Pokemon. But now I'm really not inclined.
So that's... I don't know if this is supposed to be TIMI or TeamE or whatever. It's TeamE Studio Group is the developers of PokémonUnite. So, if you want to keep a fucking blacklist of game developers, they're kind of shitty. I don't have a lot more to say about that, but that does suck. The other Pokemon news, which is less shitty, is we got a Pokemon Direct from Nintendo this month that showed us a lot of the new features and stuff happening in both the Diamond and Pearl remakes, but I care slightly less about that, and more information about this Pokemon Legends Arceus game that we saw a while ago that we haven't gotten a ton of information about.
I think you mean Arceus?
Oh my god, don't
don't
we don't need to have a whole fucking conversation about the inconsistent pronunciation of that.
It's the Tolkien hard C. The Celebrimbor Arceus. Gotta love it.
It's like Arceus makes more sense because it's got a big arc on its back, sure, but Arceus just sounds a whole lot better, and I feel like
it sounds like
the
arse,
official pronunciation ping pongs back and forth all the time too. But yeah, anyway, so that game, like, it's looked to be set. It's set in what is it, Sinnoh? That's the region that it's set in. But it's called Hisui, which is basically like a Sinnoh region from the past, which is a pretty cool concept.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it kind of looks like it's going to more or less be like a typical kind of Pokemon game, just with a few twists and turns. Like, you're still actually going out into this world with plots and catching Pokemon and stuff like that. Just some of the mechanics are kind of different because they're like, oh, this is the sort of like proto, before like Pokemon Society and shit like that. So Pokemon are a bit more in the wild. They'll actually attack you, a person, a human being, which is not usually how it works.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure
they're making changes to the mechanics, and also it doesn't seem like gym battles or the Pokemon League are a thing, so it really does seem like a much different experience.
But I'm kind of skeptical about that, Chowder, because like, they were also making that with the Alola region. They're like, oh, it's not gym battles, it's this other thing. And then the other thing ended up being functionally very, similar to gym battles.
Yeah, but
so I'm not willing to say that they haven't thrown that out until
true.
I actually play the game or like see more about it. You know what I mean?
We've done away with gym battles. Welcome to Bim Jaddles.
Might as well have been, yeah. But yeah, no. You can now get ambushed by a laser shooting bear, and that's terrifying.
Which
this is the
sense.
most interested I have been in this game since an announcement. Tell me more about laser bears.
But yeah, no, it looks pretty cool. Still, we don't have a tremendous amount of information, but the trailers do look promising. And just for the sake of time, I want to kind of move on from there.
Before you move on, could I ask your guys' reaction on something? Just because I'm not in the Pokemon space very much.
Yep.
You're literally one of the main characters.
Fuck you. So, the visuals in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, similar to the reaction to Halo Infinite a year ago, people were like, is this really what this next-gen game looks like? And even when you compare Pokemon Legends Arceus to Breath of the Wild, it does not look very visually impressive or even necessarily stylistically coherent to me. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
It is possible, Colin, that you're seeing a bit of the other game and confusing the other game that they're releasing, which are the Diamond and Pearl remakes, which basically...
I'm very familiar with Arceus as an open world Breath of the Wild style game.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it looks fine enough. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm just comparing it too much to it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, my reaction is not mind blowing, but adequate. Not.
Yeah. I think the best description I saw was, I'm really sick of these 2006 looking games on the Nintendo Switch. And I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, Oblivion looks better than this. Which
having played Oblivion, no, I wouldn't go that far, man.
I kind of would. I mean, playing Oblivion on modern hardware, yeah. Back then when it was like 720p, maybe a little too grainy. But it just didn't stand out to me. I don't know. I might be missing the point, but that is my
I don't know.
impression.
I guess I haven't really been thinking about that quite as much, just because it's been overshadowed by the Diamond and Pearl remakes, like literally looking just like soft reskins of the old game instead of having like the updated graphics. So I've been more focused on that in terms of like the being disappointed by the graphics. But
fair.
I don't know. It could be. It's also, like the game doesn't come out for a while anyway, so it's like they could still be improving some of that stuff along the way.
True.
But that's the Pokemon stuff I wanted to talk about. In terms of Marvel, we got a few trailers. We got another Shang-Chi trailer. We got another Eternals trailer, both of which were good, but not a whole ton of new information. And we got our Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. And it's confirmed a few things, like they are doing multiverse stuff because fucking Doc Ock, like the same actor from Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi movie.
Say his name, Alfred Molina!
Yeah.
Alfred Molina, is fucking showing up in this at the very least. I mean, we got hints at other villains from the other ones too, but he's the one we saw in the trailer and they de-aged him and...
I mean, it's pretty likely that we're seeing Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Yeah, we heard his laugh.
They pulled a full Rise of Skywalker in the middle of the trailer, and they threw in the most iconic laugh from the franchise. That is not a hint. That he's in it. That was the same pumpkin bomb.
But
that's the same laugh.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, I mean, yes, confirmed to be in it for sure. I'm just saying that that Doc Ock is the one we see on screen, and it's like the big moment of like, oh shit, hey look, it's him. He's de-aged, and so I'm kind of I feel like I could go into this a lot, and I don't really want to for the sake of time because I have other stuff I want to talk about, but like. I'm sort of curious if this is like actually crossing over with the Sam Raimi universe, or if this is crossing over with a universe that references that thing by having those actors. Because like Doc Ock died in Spider-Man 2, right? Like,
and also Green Goblin. So like
true.
My best assumption is it's a different universe that references.
It's a different universe that is cast like that universe. Sort of similar to like in Spider-Verse, how we get our, introduction to Peter Parker, and all of the events and stuff that he's listed are mostly the same events as what happened in the Sam Raimi movies, even though it's not that Peter Parker. So I'm hoping personally that it's something like that, and that the casting is more just like a meta thing. Cause I mean, again, I don't want to get fully into it, but I have like tonal problems with those universes being canonically part of the same multiverse, just because like I like those movies, but they have problems that like I can't that tend to not be as much problems in the MCU that would like mess with me. Like, Doc Ock is a regular guy with the fucking, octopus suit, and then he gets punched in the face by super strength Spider-Man all the time, and doesn't immediately pass out, or like even as simple as the main character is clearly 30 years old but is supposed to be a high schooler. Like those things mess with me.
I think beyond that stuff, studio politics are going to be informing the choices here, because ever since the original deal to bring Spider-Man into the MCU made back before Captain America: Civil War, there was an interview where Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Studios, and Amy Pascal, who I don't know, she's an executive producer or head over at Sony Pictures. I don't recall what her role is there, but she has her own studio as well. And she's the producer of all the Spider-Man movies. She said something like, "Oh yeah, now that we have this partnership, you're going to see all these other people we own coming into the MCU." And then you look at Kevin's face and he's like, excuse me, what the fuck? And he like really tried to walk that back. So Sony has been explicitly trying to piggyback off of the success of the MCU. And this movie, because it is a Sony product, is very smart to reference their previous movies, because it will tacitly tie the MCU into these movies directly or indirectly, whatever the degree is. So regardless of the canon, and Jeff, I agree with you on a lot of the problems, because I think that the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy is the progenitor of a lot of the modern movies that we've got now for superheroes, and they didn't figure everything out. That said, they are still good, and they are not related to the MCU, and Spider-Man is the only profitable IP that Sony has left. So they are very, very smart to maneuver it this way. This is also a good chance, as we saw 2 years ago when the Spider-Man deal fell apart and then came back together, there's also a good chance this will be Tom Holland's exit from the MCU proper into the Sony universe of Marvel characters, whatever they're calling it. So this
try to get him into Venom movies and stuff like that.
Exactly. So whether or not this is the last hurrah, this is clearly angling to leverage the MCU to boost the Sony properties. Because imagine how many people are going to go rent or buy Spider-Man 2 after seeing Doc Ock in it. Even just from that. Huge.
Yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. Personally, I'm hoping it's more of like a, like Evan Peters and WandaVision kind of thing, where it's just like a wink and a nod to the people who are watching it, whereas not, But like, I've so
but
those
like,
things
it should be
concern
noted
me,
that
generally I feel like the live action Sony movies are like not great, and they're just like really trying to money grab in terms of like, hey, what if we had a whole Spider-Man universe, except we can't have Spider-Man in it, but we're still going to do it anyway. It's just like, why? But
it should be noted that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man spent most of that trilogy as a college student, not a high schooler. Like,
that was just the beginning of the first movie.
In the first movie, though, he was for sure a high school student, at least for part of it. So I'm just saying.
And
like,
Joe Manganiello was Flash Thompson. I always forget about that one.
I'm not trying to bash on the Sam Raimi movies. I think they're good movies. I just like them better as their own, because it's not just stuff like that. It's also like a tonal thing where like that universe feels a lot more comic booky in a lot of its choices in ways that I don't feel like jive well with the MCU, even if it's like a different universe kind of thing. It's just like they don't. It's like oil and water to me a little bit. It's like they don't mix well.
I think I take a different approach, where when I hear the term multiverse, and I assume the implication is infinite multiverses. So while I appreciate that you don't want them to be part of the same multiverse, I'm like, who knows how fucking far removed these things are? I'll swallow that pill. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, and
so that's just my take.
And honestly, like Spider-Verse kind of leaned into the whole different styles colliding with each other. So I'm cool.
Yeah, and that's one thing. I guess it's for me. It's just like the like I don't want the Fox X-Men universe as part of the MCU either, because like
agreed.
that still kind of pollutes the overall quality, because it's like, it's not just tonal differences with some of those movies, it's like things that just straight up don't make sense in those movies, like all of the continuity errors in the Fox.
And nobody want to touch the Fox X-Men movie.
And like, it's been a while since I've seen the Sam Raimi movies, but I do remember there being some stuff like that would, it's just like, I don't, I'm not talking from the most fullest educated, stance here, because it's been a while
Deadpool's
since
gonna
I've
ruin
seen
that
him,
for us soon, and I'm excited to see how.
Yeah, sure, but
okay, if
anyway.
there was a character who could just walk on screen and nobody would question it, it would be Deadpool.
Yep, very happy about that. So,
but anyway, so I feel like I could go on for that for a while and get into all of that stuff, but that I feel like that should be its own thing if we're doing it. But in terms of, so I've got Masters of the Universe and Transformers. Masters of the Universe is short. We just got a trailer for the new Netflix series. And if you're like, hey, didn't we just get a Masters of the Universe Netflix series? Yes, we did. And we're getting another one. This one is more specifically for kids. They announced them around the same time, so we've known about this for a while, but we've seen a trailer and, it looks kind of cool. It's a reimagining of it. There's obviously a ton of departures where it's like, it looks more like full-on alien sci-fi rather than sci-fi mixed with Conan the Barbarian. Like, they kind of have removed a lot of the magical stuff and made it more, science-y type stuff, like Orko is a fucking robot. Which, is like, if that was like our only new iteration of Masters of the Universe, then I might have more of a problem with those things. But it's like, hey, it's a reimagining of it, and I'm willing to give it a shot. But it is going to be aimed more at kids, so...
I got Masters of the Universe Revelations. I'm content. Do whatever.
You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, so Transformers, I've got a couple things. One of them is quite brief, but ties into the next thing, is we got the announcement that Hasbro is doing another Hasbro Pulse Con in 2021. This was, they're basically in lieu of, it's another online kind of Comic-Con-esque thing where they're going to be revealing a bunch of new product from all of their different things, including, of course, a Transformers panel, which will be exciting. And that is going to be happening on October 22nd and 23rd. So we just got the reveal of that this month. So there'll be more to talk about it in October, but that's that. And then the second thing is we got our announcement on last Friday, I guess it would have been, I guess a week before this episode airs, is we've got the announcement of the next Transformers Hasbro Haslab project. Previously, this was Unicron. So this one is substantially less expensive. Okay. It is, but it is Transformers Victory Saber, which is a reference to, or a new iteration, basically, of one of the most famous, popular Japanese characters from the whole, Japanese side of the Transformers mythos, because, Transformers has always been kind of like a joint thing between, between the Western side and the Japanese and Japan. Pretty much like the US and Japan kind of run in tandem doing Transformers stuff a lot of the time. And there's some shows that from the original Generation 1 continuity, they're pretty much exclusive to Japan. And this is a new iteration of one of those characters. And it's this one needs 11,000 backers by basically that Hasbro PulseCon. So there's 41 days until it needs to be backed. Currently, it has about 4,000 backers. This is significant in a few ways in that Unicron was only 8,000 backers was the target. This is a much more obscure character than Unicron.
Yeah.
Unicron is one that a lot of people will know, whereas to the Western audience, a lot of fans do know Star Saber and Victory Leo, the characters that this is, but it's mostly more popular in Japan. But that being said, this is substantially cheaper than Unicron. Unicron had an MSRP of $575 around, and this one is $179.99.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's a lot less.
But, it's obviously not as big as Unicron. And just to break down that pricing a little bit, basically this set comes with 2 characters, the character Star Saber and the character Victory Leo, who combined to make Victory Saber. The fucking Japanese names are all wild. But
well, do you really want to go into the American names we've got? Because those are not better.
No. Yeah, no, they're not. They're all very bad. But
yeah,
the fucking Japanese names are wild in ways that are not we're not as used to. But so breaking down the sizing of these figures and how they relate to that price, I think is kind of interesting because basically, so there's the 2 figures here. There's Star Saber, which is so in terms of Transformers like regular retail pricing, we've got like size classes. So we've got deluxe, which are, around $20. We've got Voyagers, which are around $30. Leaders are around $50, and Commanders, which are around $80. And then Titans, which are like our big products that are like, around this price abouts, of being like $150 plus. And in terms of sizing for these figures, Star Saber himself, I think, looks like, in terms of the amount of engineering and stuff and the size of the figure, I'm guessing it's straddling between that leader class and commander class price point. So between $50 and $80. Let's, to be fair to Hasbro, say commander class. It's got the full commander class features, right? So $80. And then Victory Leo is kind of straddling that Voyager to leader price range. So again, to be fair to Hasbro, $50 for a leader class figure. Let's say it has that amount of engineering. That is still $80 plus $50, which is, $130. And this costs $180, which is kind of a large leap. Especially when we're already being a little bit generous with the size of these guys. Like, yes, obviously this is like an exclusive fan back project. It's not going to line up like 1 for 1 with those prices. But in terms of the size of these things, like giving them saying that it's a leader class and a commander class is already kind of generous. Like it's between that and being a Voyager and a leader class, which is like, that would be like $80. And it costs $100 more than that. So it's
those were a lot of nouns that just I tuned out on.
I think I kept up. I think I kept up. Were you following
that? Okay. I want to. I'm just saying.
No, I get. The picture you're painting is that like if you really like look at the models at play here, the prices don't exactly line up with the expectations set by the rest of the product line.
Correct. And like with Unicron, right, like there was a bit of that too, because like at least size-wise, Unicron was for all intents and purposes a Titan class. Like he was definitely bigger and had a lot more engineering, but it was around that range, except, Titan classes usually cost like, around $200 at most, and Unicron cost almost $600. So there's still that there. But since it was like bigger than a Titan class, it was kind of like unprecedented. So really like the amount of engineering and stuff they included with it, they could kind of make it whatever price they wanted and have been able to justify that. Whereas Star Saber is more within the bounds of things that we're like experienced with buying on a regular basis. So there's a bit more basis for that comparison to be saying like, well, it's for sure not as much engineering as like a Titan class, right? Or like a Titan class plus or like it's so it's like, it's like, and it's not even like a thing where it's like, sometimes when they release stuff in Japan and then give you a way to get it over here, there's like import fees and stuff like that. Whereas this is just a Japanese character. It is not being released in Japan primarily and then given us some way to import it over here. Like it's being released to the Western market. So, I don't know.
Boy,
that being said,
can't wait to see your reviews on that one.
Yeah, that being said, I did back it.
I figured for 100 something, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like I do want a version of this character, but even if I'm gonna buy, like, Hasbro has been pushing the envelope a little bit too much in a lot of ways with Transformers product and their pricing recently, like just gradual and less gradual increasing of like prices, like deluxes that only a few years ago used to be $17.99 and are now like $22.99. So it's like, okay,
oh boy.
But I mean that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. Cool. It does look like a good figure, and obviously right now we're only seeing like the prototype stages of it, because that's the contingent on they're only going to produce it if it gets the full backers. And right now it's looking like it's getting closer to that goal more quickly than Unicron did, which might have some like, you know, it might have been some like lasting repercussions of people that didn't back Unicron, and then once it started coming out and seeing how much it went for the aftermarket prices, like feeling like they missed out on that, so they're more willing to jump on this earlier. But
well, I expect you to give us monthly updates as you did with Unicron. But now's a good time to kick it on over to Chowder. What you got?
All right. Well, I'm going to start with just a bunch of JoJo news because a lot happened this month involving JoJo.
JoJo Siwa?
No. Fuck you.
Ah, damn it.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
More bizarre than that.
Anyways, yeah, first of all, they announced JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean, the anime adaptation. That's part 6, and it's coming out in December. And very interestingly, it's coming out on Netflix, on both the Japanese and American Netflix. And it'll be interesting to see how the American Netflix handles it. Like, are they just gonna wait and then like dump us chunks of JoJo Part 6, or are they gonna do like a simulcast thing where it's like, yeah, every week it's gonna be a new episode, and they're not going to make you binge watch it. I hope it's the latter, because I kind of want to be able to digest what I see instead of just...
Well, because Netflix has done that before, haven't they? I mean, I know some other streaming services have, but has Netflix actually had any shows prior where it releases it on a week-by-week basis? I feel like it has.
Japanese Netflix does that, but I don't know about American Netflix.
Here in America, I've only really seen them do it with, like, talk or variety shows. You know, like Patriot actor Samantha Bee or whatever.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably conflating that in my mind with like the other streaming services.
Yeah, because Paramount and Apple and even HBO have been pretty consistent with like you do it week by week. That's actually been creating some consternation with Ted Lasso that I can't quite penetrate, but that's a different story.
So Chowder, wait, they're releasing it on the Western Netflix at around the same time? Are they releasing just the sub, or are they also releasing the dub?
I'm not sure. I think it's just the sub, simply because we've only been introduced to the Japanese voice actors. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just the sub. And like, you know, and with like Part 6 itself, it's kind of got a mixed reaction amongst fans, because like Part 6 is like the last part in the original universe before Part 7 starts in a new universe. So it'll be interesting to see how the anime may affect that mixed reaction, because Part 5 used to, at least in the West, in Japan, Part 5 is like beloved, but in the West, Part 5 had mixed reactions due to like some very poorly translated mangas. But then when the anime came out, everyone was like, oh yeah, this is amazing. So who knows? Part 6 might go through a similar experience. And let's see. So JoJo Part 8, the manga, ended, and Araki announced that after a short hiatus, he will be starting Part 9, which with the tentative title JoJo Lands, which is very interesting. We don't really know what it's going to be about, and it's really hard to really know what to expect.
So Part 7 onward is in a different universe?
Yeah, Part 7 onward is in a different universe.
Is it like in a different is it like a reboot, or is it like is it in the same canon? I guess is what I'm asking.
It's a reboot. It's like
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And Part 8 was very interesting. I'm still not sure what to make of it. I might have to read it again just to get it.
Fucking as it is with every piece of JoJo fucking media, I don't really know what to make of this.
I mean, I immediately knew I loved Part 4, so there's that. But yeah, and the third piece of JoJo news before I move on is so the author of like a JoJo spin-off called Purple Haze Feedback announced that he's making another JoJo spin-off, this one involving the characters of Whole Horse and Josuke Higashikata. And like those are two characters fans have like wanted to see again forever. And that's pretty dope. But like, it's also kind of weird because it's such a random duo. Like those two.
Yeah.
It's like nobody ever thought about Whole Horse meeting Josuke until that was announced, and it's like, okay, I'm interested.
So all I'm saying though, Chowder, is you're gonna come at me and with my talking about Transformers fucking price classes or whatever and be like, oh, you're just saying a bunch of nouns, and then you knew you were gonna come on here and start fucking talking about things like Whole Horse and Josuke. Like, get the fuck out of here.
You see, it's different with me.
AC/DC, fuck that show. It's so stupid. I love it.
You see, it's different because I'm immersed in Jojo, and thus it makes sense when it's coming out of my mouth. But
that's exciting.
That's all very exciting. Yeah, and moving on from that, we have Disney announcing Star Wars Visions for Disney Plus.
Oh yeah,
that looks really interesting. What Star Wars Visions is like an anthology of Star Wars animated Star Wars stuff made by different anime studios, and we got like one by Gainax, Bones, and it all looks super interesting because it looks like the anime studios were allowed to do their own interesting takes on the Star Wars universe. Like so much
I'm sort of wondering if this is like, if these are supposed to be like in canon, or if they're just like inspired by Star Wars kind of anime things, because like, if we're fucking introducing bendy lightsabers to canon, I feel like that's going to be something that a lot of people have a goddamn problem with.
Everyone in Star Wars canon fandom has a problem with everything as it is already, so who gives a fuck?
As a dude who doesn't really care that much about Star Wars, my reaction is, don't know, don't care. I just, so much of Star Wars is just, hey, remember those movies from the 70s? Remember how you felt when you first watched them? Here's more of that. It never does anything interesting beyond that. And here it's like,
this looks different.
It's a very interesting. I'm seeing some interesting takes, and I want to see more. And I'm digging Star Wars Visions.
I want to say, so as someone who does not care that much about Star Wars, and someone who is turned off by the aesthetic stylings of most anime, I did not watch Star Wars Visions and say, I want to watch it. But I did watch it and say, well, that's much better than What If.
Yeah.
Because Marvel's What If also dropped this month, and that is their like alt universe. What if Black Panther was actually Star-Lord? But it's all in sort of a single style, single writer, yada yada yada, and I think that sort of sucks some of the life out of it.
Yeah.
And Star Wars Visions looks like,
why the fuck is he called Star-Lord if Star-Lord is something that fucking what's his face was called as
a kid
by his mother.
Jeff, did you watch the episode?
Yeah, they didn't explain why fucking T'Challa is called Star-Lord. Doesn't make any fucking sense. That's something that what's his name? What is his name? What is Star-Lord's name? Why is this like blanking on
Peter
my
Quill.
fucking... Peter Quill, yeah, that's something that Peter Quill was called by his mother as a child. Like, that was established in the movie. So why is this different person who's not Peter Quill called Star-Lord? Doesn't make any fucking sense.
And why would he not, be calling it, and even if he is calling himself Star-Lord, I imagine it would be, an Africanized version of that name, right? Because,
yeah, I mean,
he's from Wakanda.
He was abducted at a young age or whatever.
And apparently space speaks English.
Yeah. It's fucking how I felt about pretty much all three of those episodes that have been released so far is they're kind of fun watches, but they feel like they're sort of memed out versions of the canon. So if we're saying that even though it's a multiverse that these are in canon, it doesn't feel like a lot of the character choices make a tremendous amount of sense. And then other than that, they're just they're funny, they're fun, but they're a little bit mediocre. I don't know is how I felt about those so far, but whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's fucking neither here nor there to fucking Star Wars Visions or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I mean, last thoughts on Star Wars Visions before I move on. There's a sexy General Grievous, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it.
Oh, Christ. So stupid. I love it.
Yeah. So next thing I want to talk about, this is some quick stuff. Elden Rings.
Oh yeah.
So like,
hello, Austin.
so like, they've like elaborated on like George R. Martin's contributions. Basically he like made the world and stuff, but like all the writing in the game, the plot and what have you, are still written by Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
Which, I mean, I don't. Some people seem surprised by that. That seemed very much like that was my expectation from the beginning, is that he would help them build it and then not work on the game.
Yeah.
The dude hasn't had time to finish his book for God knows how long. You really think he's going to be able to keep up with like a game dev cycle? Absolutely not.
No, but
Yeah,
like
right. We still need to see how Game of Thrones actually ends.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the idea for the ending of the show came from him, and he beta tested his last book with a TV show. Was like, oh, gotta change that.
Right, but it's also like if they don't have like the nuances from the story to work off of, then it's like even if they have the general plot points, like he could still make that ending work if, you know, there's more like substance behind it. Because
But like, don't worry about it because you'll never find out.
But now that the TV show shit the bed, it's like regardless of if
then you might as well rethink some of that stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, what was once like something we kind of assumed is now solidified and like in the open now, so there's that. And so let's talk about the Martin Luther King and Fortnite.
Oh, right. God damn it. I was able to have, how long have we been recording this? A solid fucking almost an hour of being able to forget that this was a goddamn thing. So fuck you for bringing back that back into my consciousness.
So, Fortnite did like some sort of thing called like March Through Time, where they had like a mural for like hold on, I'm not a Fortnite dude, but like
March Through Time will teleport players nearly 6 years into the past to a reimagined Washington, D.C. called DC 63. Developed by members of the Fortnite creative community, this fully immersive experience will allow players to witness the civil rights teachings of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's just like very tone deaf because Fortnite
it's like
is this wacky, goofy game where you play as like
Fortnite has in the defense of the people at Epic facilitating this or giving it the space to exist. Fortnite has pushed the envelope for gaming in a number of ways. Including trying to be a platform, and we saw Pokemon copy it like by having concerts there.
Yeah,
it is very, very strange still to see a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. exhibit presented by Time Magazine inside Fortnite, and it's just, I think it's another experiment. This is just the most serious one so far.
And like the fucking image that they...
Yeah, but like here's the thing, you know, like Martin Luther King was already like this radical figure who like got co-opted and sanitized by white culture, and here's another way he's co-opted and sanitized by and
it's just like
because a video game is not going to allow like a lot of the more dark realities of what Dr. King experienced and did like into a video game for 12-year-olds.
And also, I mean, look, it's a video game where you go around shooting people, all right? Like there's a loading screen that says headshots do significant damage. Aim for the head! ! And
now learn about how that applies to civil rights.
Well, because like this is the thing that people were that people were like pointing out, right? Is because like the text that Chowder just read that shows up on the loading screen is like a randomized thing, you know, like a la, you know, how Minecraft says a different thing every time you load it up, right?
Yeah, sure.
But that was the randomly selected loading screen that fucking showed up, and then they went in and it's like a talk about Martin Luther King. It's like, woof. You think maybe you could have thought ahead and just taken that one out for a few weeks?
Yeah.
It's just like,
no, that's
it's just it's so indicative of the stupidity of this whole thing, just to see this image of the fucking xenomorph from Alien and Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty standing out in front of a billboard and reading Martin Luther King quotes. It's just like, come on, guys, come on. Like, you must have known that this was just not the right format. Like, if you as a company want to put out a tweet about Martin Luther King and you're the company that makes Fortnite, that's one thing. But to put Martin Luther King stuff in the game itself is just like, this is not the right way to do this.
No, it's not.
Well, here, let's devil's advocate this for a second.
Sure.
One, I'm not defending the idea. I'm saying, look at what we can learn from this. One, how many people of a very young age, because we're all in our mid-20s, I myself in my late 20s, but we are aware of Dr. King.
Sure.
Are 12-year-olds aware of Dr. King? I
Colin,
don't know. Can Fortnite... Hey, let me finish. Can Fortnite be a good way to disseminate information to generations that might not be exposed to that information yet?
With America trying to...
In a vacuum.
Like, with America trying to ban critical race theory, it's like... Yeah, fair enough. I guess America's trying to censor history, so I guess whatever way you can disseminate history to the people. But
I never want to be in a position where I hear at any point a kid who was around 12 at this time talking about Martin Luther King, aka that thing from Fortnite.
Yeah.
That's true. That sucks. But what I'm saying is, as things change, do games like Fortnite provide us a new communications platform that we didn't necessarily have before? I think the answer is yes. I don't think they figured out how to really use it all the way yet.
Maybe not.
It makes me scratch my head. It's like, this isn't the answer, but is this on the way to a new way of doing things?
Maybe not Fortnite, simply because...
Maybe not Fortnite. I will definitely plant my flag in the ground next to yours on that. Maybe not Fortnite.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
I do think that, it's like, I'm not sure, like, the intention seems like it was probably a good one, or it was trying to, like, this game was trying to basically capitalize upon, like, people celebrating, Black culture and stuff like that, which is not good, even if they present it that way. And it's hard to tell if this was like a kind of tone deaf thing that had a good intention, or if this was a very tone deaf thing that had like a kind of skeevy corporate intention.
The thing
because
is,
obviously it's always going to be presented as the former,
according to the announcement from PlayStation, this was not run by Epic. This was not run by the companies. It seems like a partnership of Fortnite community creators, because like Halo, you have the ability to build stuff.
Right.
Community creators partnering with Time. So this isn't like Epic in the middle of, like, balls deep in their Apple lawsuit saying, you know what we should do in the middle of August? This. This was people who had a project and brought it to light. And I think that a lot of that nuance gets lost. And when you look at what Fortnite is, it's behemoth of strange behaviors. But it's like, what kind of voice are people having when they can use Fortnite this way? That's the interesting question to me. I don't think that succeeds in a lot of ways, but...
Yeah. I mean, then that just makes me look at Times and I'm going, what the fuck were you thinking?
I don't want to offend it for two reasons. One, I do not know all the details of this, and I am not the most qualified person to discuss the complexities of people in this video game using it to discuss racial issues and the history of civil rights in America. But two, also because, I mean, just on its surface, I'm like... to the point of the tip screen, I'm just like, if you're gonna try to discuss something serious, you need to do it seriously.
Yeah.
This is not really the forum for that, but I am interested in what it means that this is another avenue to discuss these things, considering the kind of audience it has.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting, but it's also very stupid.
Yes, interesting but stupid. We have our title.
Yes. There we go.
Anyways, I want to talk about one last thing. Update on the Activision Blizzard lawsuit.
Yeah, we got a few of these.
Right. Oh yeah, let's end it off with a bummer.
Yeah. So the lawsuit is now in jeopardy because the Activision Blizzard HR destroyed documents. Important documents.
Forgot about that.
And so
because apparently the fine for destroying the documents was probably less harmful to them than giving those documents to the court and how it would affect the lawsuit.
Yeah,
which is that's fucked.
The system just works.
Yep.
I mean, it works. It's doing what it's supposed to. Just what it's supposed to be doing is fucked up. But yeah, everything sucks.
Everything sucks. They also didn't they hire to represent them in the case and like help them out. They hired like a union busting lawyer that like previously worked on anti-union efforts with other developers.
They did. In fact do that.
Yeah.
Yep. And
on that note, did you fucking see they announced Call of Duty Vanguard this past month? Call of Duty Vanguard, they always make a big new Call of Duty game every year. Guess what name is missing from all the marketing materials?
Activision Blizzard.
Oh my God.
So that name is nowhere to be found in the marketing for Call of Duty Vanguard. It's just the developer Sledgehammer. So
I don't know if I mentioned this.
Everything they're doing is full swing corporate defense mode.
Yep. I don't know if I mentioned this. Oh, wait, there's another bullshit thing that happened involving Activision Blizzard. So, Overwatch, right? There was a character named Jesse McCree who was named after a developer named Jesse McCree. And, turns out that developer was a fucking sex pest. And so now they're changing the character's name. And it's just like, wow, you do the one easy thing to score brownie points, but you don't.
That's all. Yeah. They're taking the Amazon route. As soon as all like the official reports about working conditions in the warehouses came out, you suddenly see ads all over the place of employees in Amazon saying how much they love their jobs and Twitter accounts saying how much they don't pee in bottles.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. They take away the thing that gives you the heuristic, Activision Blizzard, to the fact that something fucked up is happening, and then make whatever small efforts they can to just sever those connections enough that they leave the public dialogue and allow people to engage with their products. That's it. That's all they're gonna do.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this last CBP or not, but hey, worth repeating. In an article from Vice.com, Activision IT worker secretly filmed colleagues in office bathroom. An Activision IT worker pleaded...
I remember that one.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that.
Okay, we did talk about it.
Yeah.
So... Because it came out on the 30th, so...
Hey, in case you need a reminder of the scope of the depravity of what's happening
on July 30th, so it might have been just after the cutoff, but yeah.
So as a person who obviously I've been following the Activision story, but, I'm following it as like, oh, a company is being sued or whatever. I'm not really as familiar with like all the things that Activision does. Like if you said this game was done by Activision, I'd be like, okay, that sounds right. And you could be making up total nonsense. So as someone who would probably be fooled by the Call of Duty not being called, not being mentioned that it's being, that it's being made by Activision, what are some big popular games that we can just toss out there to be like, hey, if you want to not support Activision, these are the games
Jeff, it's not going to happen, because if you look at Activision Blizzard, you've got World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Tony Hawk, Call of Duty, Call of Duty Warzone is blowing up. So many classic games too from like the PS1, Dreamcast, Xbox era too. Chowder, do you have any more that you can just rattle off?
Weren't they behind like the Spyro remakes?
Yep, yeah, they did this. I think the Spyro and the Crash remakes, because those were done by Vicarious Visions,
right?
Which is a subsidiary.
Listen,
they did Destiny for several years until Destiny, as they said in their Witch Queen reveal, claimed their independence, which I fucking loved, that slap in the face to the bullshit of Activision. Activision makes so many games.
I cannot imagine.
Crash
Obviously,
Team Racing,
like we're not pushing even by putting all that out, there's no one, even if we were a bigger podcast, that would not push the needle at all. But for individuals who want to make a choice about the companies that they support, I feel like it is helpful to have that information just out there, being like,
for sure.
If you have the ability to avoid those games, then,
I will continue to not play any of those games that are not Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Well,
But there's also a difference because Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 is like, those are games that came out fucking ages ago, right?
They
There's a point
did
is
it
like
like
they
a
had
year
remakes made.
Oh, never
There's a
mind.
remake.
Ignore me. All right, I don't know what the
Yeah.
fuck I'm talking about.
But yeah, I think we've been going for quite a while now. Why don't we bring it into the editor's room and try to pick our top story? So here in the rating section, we, as an editorial staff with great journalistic integrity, try to look at all the headlines we've brought to you and figure out if you're going to walk away remembering only one thing, one piece of news to share with your friends at all the parties we know you're going to because you're super cool. What is that information?
and because
going
we're
to
not
be?
in a pandemic.
Well,
Well,
we are, but some of us just have a nice little shield
I was
upgrade
being
that
coy.
allows
We're
us-
definitely in a pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
cool.
I didn't want to have to go into that. That's a whole extra hour of podcast. So, if we're going through all the news for the past month, normally I try really hard to look at how my bias affects what I bring to the table and say, what do I care about most beyond my bias? Fuck that this month. Destiny 2 Witscreen reveal. I am so fucking pumped. That's my vote for top story.
So, personally, I hate to say it because usually I like to pick stuff that I'm more excited about rather than stuff, that is. But I sort of feel like, especially with the efforts like you were just talking about to, like, just get it out of the public consciousness, even though we've probably had this as our top story before, I still feel like the Activision lawsuit is the most significant thing. And that's kind of where I'm leaning, but yeah. I don't know.
I mean,
Chowder, how do you feel?
I'm kind of like, you gotta like go past your biases and think about like what the people care about. But man, I like me some Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't want to vote for that.
Well, then fuck it. This is the one time I'm not like, hey, Star Saber is the fucking #1 story of this month. Because of course it isn't, all right?
Okay, so hey, we have 3 different answers. I mean, I would definitely go toward the Activision, though it would be 2 months in a row, I think. I'd definitely go closer to Activision than I would Jojo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
same.
so-
I mean, I would go closer to Activision than.
Yep. Fair enough. All right, well, you heard it here, 2 months running. Let's keep paying attention to that Activision lawsuit. There's a lot of great stuff happening out there in nerd world, but we cannot forget about the bad things, such as Activision and weird Fortnite stuff.
Just kind of their whole jive.
That about wraps it up. We're going to be back in a couple weeks with a regular-ass book club episode. By the time this episode comes out, Shang-Chi will have released. I don't know if we'll do a conversation about that, but we'll see
Depends
what
how good
happens
it is.
in a couple of weeks. Yeah, depends on whether or not we really care about it as a group of friends, because that's all this is. It's a
It
group
looks
of friends.
good so far. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to see it. I am ready to enjoy it. I think Eternals is the one I'm the most excited about, just because it seems weirder, and I like weird stuff. I'm on a weird kick lately.
I mean,
like watching
we
weird
can
stuff.
get into this later, but fucking Shang-Chi looks like it's doing a lot of neato martial arts kind of stuff and putting an emphasis on that,
yes.
and I'm down.
Big
I'm so
time.
down for some Jackie Chan bullshit. So.
Yeah.
I think that's what's got me excited about it, but I don't have a connection to the characters yet. I'm mostly just interested how it'll pull from Iron Man 3
Yeah,
or if
I
it
mean,
will.
if you're getting into weirdo stuff, have you considered JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
My fucking
is
god.
well,
It's
Chowder,
bizarre. Let me tell you that.
Is it an anime?
It's an anime, yes.
We just spent like fucking 20 minutes talking about it. What do you mean?
I know. No, I understand that, but I'm just saying I am disinclined to watch anything that's an anime. The closest I've gotten to enjoying anime is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I know that calling that an anime is an act of sacrilege to some people.
As someone who's known you for a long time, Colin, I can say that even if JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was not an anime, I do not think you would enjoy it in the slightest. Okay. And that's not to say I don't. I think it's great, but it is not your style. Let me tell you that.
Fair enough.
It's a
fair enough.
It's a lot of like pulp nonsense mixed with like the author's own mysticism and.
Yeah, fair enough. When I say weird, I mean, I don't know.
It's
guess
weird.
I'll get it. I've been watching Mr. Robot lately, and that's almost kind of the threshold I'm at for weird. And that show gets a little funky. Not quite. I don't know if you ever watched Legion, that X-Men show on FX about
Sure did
fucking
not.
Professor X's son. That show, I only watched the first
Is that
season.
what it's about?
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. That show is crazy. That's the kind of weird that I've been looking for. But we'll see. You know what, Chowder? If you dipped your toes in Destiny. If I get bored enough, I'll hit you up. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I would like to hear Colin's reaction to some JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I mean, like, a good starting point is ironically not part 1, because part 1 is like
I like part 1.
Go figure.
Because when the author was like kind of figuring out his was still kind of figuring stuff out, and he was kind of relatively new. Part 2 is like, oh yeah, this is kind of what you may be expecting from JoJo, you know. So
yeah, part 2.
All right.
I mean, I feel we can talk about it another time.
Yeah, no, we got to wrap this up. I've been Colin. You can find me on this podcast and on other ones. ComicGeekingProgram.com.
I have been Jeff Levitt. If you're interested in Transformers content, which I expect most of you aren't, but if you are, I have a YouTube toy review channel called Alchemist Prime Reviews, and that's me.
Hi, I'm Timel or Chowder, whichever you prefer. You can find me on
Catchphrase,
yes. You can find me on Twitter at TimelChowder, and you can also find me on our sister podcast, Dice Populi. I'm like I'm DMing right now, and
the first episode of Chowder's story will be out as of this recording, and we have a little recap episode to get people up to speed. If you don't want to binge 60 or 50 episodes of podcast, it's wild, but you can check that out on your own time. For now, I'm just gonna say goodbye and go back to doing my day job, because I should probably be doing that right now. Bye.
Ciao.
Adios.
Adios, dirt.
Adios, dirt.
This episode of the Common Briefing Program was hosted by me, Colin. I was joined by Jeff and Chowder. As usual, we talked about news, and the episode was sponsored by a joke, because that's the credits format for this particular show. We got more podcasts, we got more episodes of this coming, and I think that's about it. This is weird. Fight me. I dare you. Don't do that. I'm tired. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you for listening to this.
I mean, then that just makes me look at times, and I'm going, what the fuck were you thinking?
Chowder, you are full on robot voice right now.
Yeah, you.
I'm full on. Okay.
I
mean, what I was saying was, well, then that just makes me look at Times Magazine and go, what the fuck were you thinking? Am I still a robot?
Chowder, we're just getting.
Okay, that was so long. All right, you're back.
Am I back?
You're back.
I will say it a third time.
Thank you.
So that just makes me look at Time Magazine and go, what the fuck were you thinking?
For sure. I don't want
even
to
if it's
defend
not
this
epic,
at all.
there's still some,